as far as my faith, before I learned about flat Earth, I was an atheist, which is crazy. I didn't know, I didn't believe anything, and I keep telling the story, but it's good, it's true. I went to a Young Life Bible retreat, and so they're doing the first Bible reading. I'm like, oh, here we go. And the first story they told was the stars falling to Earth, and I'm like, wait a minute. My house, like a big giant house, is a star. The Earth is a pebble. How could that fall to Earth? It would eat the Earth. And I discarded the Bible until 2014 because of that. I literally threw out the Bible 100% for my entire life until I understood that this place is intelligently designed.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining in for another Faith and Base podcast. I have the all-time great Dave Weiss here with me today. Dave Weiss is also known as Flat Earth Dave, and he's a truther. He's part of the truther community, and he's really out there evangelizing about Flat Earth and sharing a lot of truth out there. I know the term flat Earth is pretty much of a shadow banned term, and so anybody that uses that word gets ostracized and mocked. I think Dave's done a pretty good job of taking that title back. But with no further ado, we have Dave Weiss. Dave, would you like to introduce yourself?
You did a pretty good job there. I've been looking at the truth for, I don't know, a couple of decades now for sure. Started with the Federal Reserve, and then it went to, what is money, and then 9/11 and all the rest of the false flags. And then Flat Earth came in, and I thought Flat Earth was a psyop to make truthers look stupid. And I refused to look at it. And I refused to look at it for quite a while. And then finally, when I went to look at it, I went in to prove it wrong. I didn't even go to look at it to find the truth. I went in and just said, this is stupid. And that's when you become a true level horizontal planar.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I see behind you, Dave, that you have an image, and it looks like a phone. You're showing an app. I mean, I obviously know this is the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. Yeah, I got it all correct there. If you want to talk, clock. There you go. If you'd like to talk a little bit about your app at all, before we kind of just dive into the whole Flat Earth thing.
With the Google censorship that's going on, where you can't find any good Flat Earth information. You search my name, you search top 10 proofs, you search the specific title of a Flat Earth and Flat Earth video, and you're just going to get propaganda. It's all hidden. So my app puts the power back in your hand. It breaks the algorithm. Every day there's a featured video. All of the archive videos back to 2018 are in there. It's got a video search now. It has images. It has all sorts of resources, including, including classes, homeschool section, where it dives into all sorts of topics, not just flat Earth, but the lies of our world. The old world. I don't know if you've watched My Lunch Break, amazing, and Jake, I'm the Improbable Dreamer, and John Levy, and then Crow. These are all. This is college right here. Most of it's free. Crow's $8 a month. No financing. Better than college. Don't send your kids to college. And they'll be better set for this world. So that's just the beginning what the app does. It also has a friend finder on it. People are joining groups on there and making video calls and setting meetups. And, people have had babies already because of this app. So this is it's just a way to break the algorithm and always have the answer right in your hand. Like someone says, well, what about sunsets? And so you hit the frequently asked question button and say, where does the sun go? Right here. And up comes all the videos that Google's hiding from you. So the app is $3, and you get most of the features for the $3 if you want to use the social media, and because it's basically set up like Facebook. You have your all of your information and stuff, and people can search and look for you and add friends and all sorts of stuff like that. That's $11 a year. $11 a year. And it's a pretty good deal. But if you don't want to pay for it, you can go right up here to the referral section. And if you get 11 referrals, just tell 11 people about the app, you get the subscription for free. So I kind of make it as easy as possible. And people say, just getting out ahead of it, why are you charging $11 for that? First thing is, why do you work? Why don't you work for free? And the other thing is, when you use these higher features, it costs me more than the $3 that you paid for the app. That's why. So there you go. So these are just the flat earthers around me right now. I mean, it's crazy. The whole world is filling up. Just give you a quick world view. People say, flat Earth is dying. There's no new people. Let's just take a look. Let this load for a second, and here it comes. Here is
wow, look how saturated the U.S. is.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's and the UK is the same, and it's growing faster and faster every day. People all over the place. We even have a couple people in Antarctica.
Antarctica,
right there. Right there.
That's its own thing going on there, huh?
Oh yeah. So there you go. There's the app, and the app is just a great resource. And the other thing is, like, you're talking to somebody, and they go, "Well, what about Southern flight routes? What about the pilots?" And so you type in Southern flight routes, and here are all of the flight routes. And if you get into that just shows you that the Earth is flat. Or if you search, you want to show them the moon buggy, just type in moon buggy. Bam, you got an awesome picture of the moon buggy. And then, if you can show somebody the lander and the moon buggy, and they still think we went to the moon, might be time for a new friend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing that, I mean, with all truths, but definitely with the flat Earth one, is that it's quite a shock to people that know you, right? Where all this, it's like kind of coming out, right? It's no different than coming out as homosexual or something, right? It's like, you're a flat earther. Oh my goodness, right?
And no, come on. The homosexuals are accepted in this world. Flat earthers. It used to be really bad in 2014. People say, "Oh my God, good luck getting a job." Get out of your mother's basement. Well, I don't live in my mother's basement. And the thing is now, with the friend finder, like, let's say I want to move to Florida, I could type in real estate broker Florida, and I could find the flat earthers in Florida that are real estate brokers. And guess what? I don't want to work with a globalist to help me find a house. I want to work with somebody that knows where they live, has their feet rooted in this world. So the tides have turned, because flat earthers don't want to work for or with globers. We'd much rather work with a flat earther. So let's say I'm going to hire somebody for whatever, whether I have a landscaping business, a restaurant, or editing videos or whatever. And I got 10 applicants, and they're all highly qualified. One of them is almost as qualified as the other 9, but he's a flat earther. He's getting the job. He's getting the job. So globers, everything has flipped on you, because you're living in a fake world, and that's how they control you. That's how they steal your money. Everything. Because if you live in their fake world, you got to play by their fake rules. If you step out back into nature, into God's creation, then you can break free of that evil matrix.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I must admit, part of my truth journey, I definitely stumbled across you and your videos, and that definitely was part of my awakening, right? And I don't want to say awaken, right? Because it makes it sound like I'm on top of the hill and I have everything figured out. I feel like it's always a transition. You're always learning as you go along, right? But definitely the cosmology was definitely one that really woke me up, right? And obviously it goes into the question, why would they lie, right? And I know you kind of have a spiel about that, about why would they lie, right?
Well,
go ahead.
It's to hide. The bottom line, it's to hide God and control the world. Because if you're hiding more land, free energy, more resources, and the creator, if you can hide all that, people will be scared, in lack, lost, and say, "Oh, mommy government, please take care of me. Daddy government, please take care of me." And you are agreeing to play in their system. They can't control us. We have God-given free will. We are with the inheritors of this world, and they can't take it from us unless they put us on a fake world, the globe. And then they give us our birth certificate, and we're entered into the United States Corporation, the United States of America Corporation. And, you know about the whole straw man thing where you are not your name. You are a living man. And if we play in their system, we have to play by their rules. I don't play by their rules.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes into that whole sovereign citizen thing, right? And I think Jordan Maxwell and a couple of these other guys have done a great job in talking about that. Yeah, are you completely disconnected from that? From the
I am not. I have not done the sovereign system. I am no. I'm still registered. My car's registered, and so that you got to pick and choose your battles. But there are ways. Like if you pay more than $5,000 a year in federal taxes, which a lot of people do, I don't say what percentage. There are amazing people out there that can help you and save you all of that money. So if anyone's interested in that, they could email me, but you have to, as long as you pay that amount in every year, then there's people that will be willing to help you amazingly, mind-blowingly.
Yeah. It's funny. It's when you walk in this truth movement, it's like you never stop learning. So there's always new things to do and to adjust your life. I mean, you're cleaning your water, you're doing this. You're just constantly trying to just optimize and improve your life because you realize how you have to untangle so many webs that we're just like.
There's so many.
Actually just got back from. Sorry to cut you off. I just got back from a talk, and these are a bunch of doctors, and they're talking about the V and CVID and all this kind of stuff. And talking about mercury and teeth and how mercury is really damaging to our bodies, and how with all the different mercury that's like, for example, if a woman was pregnant and had mercury in her system and in her teeth, that mercury would actually go into the baby, and there's a high likelihood for the baby to have a bunch of problems based on the mercury of the
100%. I had mercury fillings as a kid, and I had them all removed. And I've never been better. There's so many different things you can do, and some things cost money, some things cost a little money, and some things are free. Have you tilted your bed yet?
Tilted your bed? No, tell me, talk to me about that one.
So if you look at all the old pharaohs and kings and queens, all their beds are at a 5-degree slant, not like bent like a Craftmatic bed, just a slant where you put blocks underneath the feet of your bed, so you're on a slope. So your mattress is on a slope, 5 degrees. And a king size bed, I think that's a 6 or 7 inches lifted up, and a little less for a queen. And the first night you're like, oh my God, I'm on a ski slope. Next night you're like, all right, it's not so bad. Third night you're like, is it still tilted? And then you forget about it. But then everything in your body changes, because instead of all of the liquids pooling into your ass and your legs, and you're getting cellulite and all your digestion stopping, because you're at that angle, you still have gravity keeping everything moving, and your digestion continues instead of stops, and all of the fluids in your body move around, and it's life-changing from day one. It's not like you got to do it for a year and then you notice. And also, like if you have a bad back in any way, you're going to tilt your bed and your back's going to hurt. You know why? Because you've been in therapy all night. They've been stretching out your back, and it's going to hurt like you went to therapy. But then after a couple of days, you're like, my back doesn't hurt anymore. I'm everything about my body is different. And guess how much that costs? Free. It's absolutely free. Tilt your bed.
Is that what it's just called? Tilting? Because I want to look into that.
If you can look in, there's probably a ton of videos. Tilted bed therapy. Veritas Radio, veritasradio.com. If you look up, they've got an episode. I actually heard that episode, And it was like 5 p.m. I'm driving around and I'm like, holy crap, I got to do this. And my friend was building an addition on their house. I pulled into their yard, grabbed a couple pieces of wood out of the dumpster, propped up my bed, and I've never put it down since.
Wow.
And
Okay.
actually,
Yeah.
actually, I didn't like having the wood underneath my bed because the headboard tilts away from the wall a little bit. So what I ended up buying is they have inserts that you can put underneath your box spring that will just tilt your bed inside the bed frame, will tilt the mattress. So
I
that's
see.
and that actually cost me like $85. Okay, but you don't need to do that. You can just there's on Amazon you can get stilts for your bed. They have feet for your bed at different heights. Buy some 5 or 6 inches and put them under the front, and you're all set.
Yeah. No, I'll I'll look into that. No, that's crazy. No. It
Life
just
changing.
yeah.
Life changing. Yeah.
And you just feel like it really helps on your lower back and stuff
It,
like
it
that.
helps. It helps your
Hips.
back, and here's one. Women, your cellulite will go away. Might take like 6 months to a year, but it'll go away, or it won't come because that's from all of the acids and everything pooling while you're laying down. Nothing pools when you're tilted.
Hmm.
Crazy, right?
No, that is crazy.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You want to like have something that's successful. Jaron from Jaronism always says, if you want to get rich, invent something that makes people lazier, right? Like fast food. You don't have to cook, you don't have to shop, you don't have to clean. But what makes you lazier than fast food? DoorDash, right? DoorDash, $1 billion business. So tilting your bed, it's like, wait a minute, I could lose cellulite, I can my back, it can be better, and I could, just be healthier, and I can sleep while doing it. That's why people do it, because it's easy and it's free, and it's amazing, and it actually is probably one of the most effective things you'll ever do, other than switching your water to like distilled water.
Right. Okay, cool. No, I'm definitely gonna take you up on that. No, thank you for sharing, and I definitely I'm learning on the fly as we're having this conversation, and no, and
Learn every day.
and that's the beautiful thing about just the truther community in general. And it's kind of funny, right? Like, so I go to a farmer's market, and you assume a lot of the times people that are like-minded also like tangentially agree with you on certain things. So it was funny. I was talking with one guy at a market, and he actually repairs jets, like small airplanes. So I kind of wanted to get out of him without being so explicit. I was like, man, so what are we on right now? And just try to get to like, the planet and all this kind of stuff.
Loaded question.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, he couldn't really get to it. So I was just like, look, is the Earth round? Like, what do you think? And right away, I got met with so much backlash and finger pointing, making fun of me and all this stuff. And then the more I started, I obviously I took it all in and whatnot. And then the more I took it in, I asked him, I go, but have you looked into it? And I think that's the funny part, is that he hadn't looked into it, and
Of
the other
course.
people that were chastising me hadn't looked into it either. So then it's like, that's like my way of knowing. It's like, listen, when I get ostracized in this way, that's me knowing, that's them tipping their hat, letting me know they haven't looked into it at all. So
I like, for someone like that, I would probably ask a question. Say, I got a question. If the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. Oh, is it really? I didn't know that, because he wouldn't know that. Spinning 1,000 miles at the equator, but up in Alaska, northern Alaska, it's only spinning at like 200 miles an hour, because that's making a much smaller circle around the polar axis. So if you're on an airplane and you take off from there and you're only moving 200 miles an hour with the spin of the Earth, you try to land in Ecuador on a north-south runway that's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. How do you land? How do you gain that 800 miles an hour of spin? And then they'll just short circuit. They'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't figure that out, because they weren't taught to think. And then
right.
you'll understand, if it's worth even continuing the conversation, because a lot of people just do not want to expend the energy to think deeply. They rather just memorize and regurgitate and say, I got an A. I got an A. I'm a teacher.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me that there's just like different levels of knowledge, right? And like there's just some people that understand up to a certain level of things, right? Whether it's health, you name it. But then, they draw the line on other topics, right? So Yeah, like I mean, that's really how I've gone to my current worldview, right? Where it's just like no topic is like untouchable, right? So and I think that's it's scary because there's like some truths that you have to confront, but once you pass that threshold, you really like are able to open your eyes to what this true reality is, you know? And sometimes it's kind of ugly, right? But you got to just move past it, and it's a beautiful adventure because you meet a lot of cool, like-minded folk, right? So, anyways, yeah, I just went on a little bit of a tangent there, but yeah, I have some questions here. But before I continue, is there anything that you want to just share as I'm kind of just blabbering
Where are
away
you?
here?
Where are you located, Michael?
So I'm located out of Miami, Florida, born and raised, but I've moved around a little bit.
So you're in Miami right now.
Correct.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because on December 2nd, the biggest thing in flat Earth is going to happen. And that is Pastor Dean Locke of the Global Vision Megachurch had a meltdown about flat Earth because his patricianers, I can't get the word right.
Patrons?
His his congregation,
Okay.
people was coming up to him and talking about flat Earth, and he says the Bible isn't about. It doesn't say the Earth is flat. And so they keep trying to tell him. He had a meltdown. He challenged Dean Odell, who is a known another pastor who is big into flat Earth and amazing, to a debate. And the debate's happening at his church. 3,000 people in the church, streaming to millions of people on his online congregation. And that is on December 2nd. I'm going to be there in person along with a whole bunch of other people. And anyone in the Nashville, Tennessee, I think it's Juliet, but Nashville, Tennessee area, come. We're having a big meetup at noon on the 2nd, and then the right near the church, and then it starts at 6, and it's going to be incredible. So it's gonna wake up millions of people. So it's gonna be a very, very interesting because he is so steadfast saying that the Bible doesn't say the Earth is flat, and anyone that's looked into it knows that the entire Bible is a flat Earth book.
Right.
So that's going on. And if you want more information on that, you can go to my YouTube channel, DITRH, and just look for the videos there, or go to deanodle.org and click on the debate, and all the information is there. Don't send me a question. It's at 6 p.m. Eastern. What's the address? Just go there. All the questions are answered. deanodle.org.
Deanodle.org.
Yes.
That's in Nashville, Tennessee.
There. It's not. It's I'm flying into Nashville, but it's Juliet, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
I don't know my Tennessee geography.
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously it's a little bit of ways, but I mean, I would love to make the trip though. It sounds pretty interesting. I mean, and what's funny, it's very tangential, like for me, right? Because my podcast is faith based, and for me, I went away from my faith at some point in my life, right? And as I started waking up to the truths of this reality, I started realizing, hey, the powers that be, they're working with evil forces. And it's kind of funny how I had to notice the dark side before I could acknowledge the light in a weird juxtaposing way. And so but yeah, with the flat Earth thing, I definitely realized that truth and how the Bible is pointing to flat Earth all along the way. And it's funny is that as I started coming closer to my faith and going to church and talking with parishioners, the word you were saying,
Parishioners, that's the word.
and when I would talk about flat Earth, I was kind of met with a raised eyebrow or whatnot. And then when I started kind of explaining the firmament and all these types of things, and they're like, yeah, I guess it does say the firmament, and wait a second, this and that, and you kind of pry, you ask these probing questions, and next thing you know, you can get people to kind of say, yeah, you know what, I guess it makes sense a little bit, right? And because I always had a hard time when I was younger. How could there be a God if we're flying through infinite space and it's just time and all this is just ever expanding? And it could, I guess, but I just feel like it's so much more significant if you see that
Right.
Earth is created. There's a firmament over us. God's viewing us, and it's just like so real that way,
Yeah. My co-host Matt Long from the Flat Earth podcast, he always says, if you want to dilute something, you put it in a bigger container. If you want to dilute God, you pour it into infinite space. And yes, that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what the main purpose of the globe lie is. It's a satanic model. It's to hide your God-given destiny, or your free will here, and it's to hide the creator. Because if you have a society that is lost in space, spinning out of control, they're much easier to control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, it's so funny you said that, and like I said, I just got back from a meeting, and this doctor was talking about mercury, and she kept saying all the reasons why mercury is bad for you, but then she just said flippantly, "Listen, the mercury is from the devil, right?" And then I thought about it because it's kind of funny that the symbol of mercury, like the alchemical symbol, is like the circle with the horns on it, right? So it's like literally like in the symbology, which is
that
kind of
is
interesting.
that's very interesting. I got to look into that. Since while we're on the teeth for a second, here's something I want to throw out there that anyone that's listening, if you know somebody that has breast cancer, that says, "Oh, I just got diagnosed with breast cancer," or has it, ask them, and the answer is going to be yes. If they have a root canal on the same side as their breast cancer, and 99.9% of them will say yes.
You're talking about the meridians, right? The
I'm
meridians
talking about when you have a root
going.
canal, root canals, the way they're done, unless they're done by a biological dentist, and you shouldn't even have a root canal. It has this, you get this bacteria in there or this infection, and it's just lingering, and it drips down through your neck into your soft tissue, and that's where the breast cancer comes from. And also, it has all sorts of other health issues that go with it. And so people that have been suffering their whole life or have breast cancer, they get their root canal removed and they get better instantly. So it's amazing. If you go to stoplookthink.com and search for root canal, there's a video there. I think it's like an hour and a half, full documentary on a guy's journey on how he discovered this to be the case. And it's called The Root of the Cause. And it'll blow your mind.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm gonna take a look at that, and it's like right along the lines with literally, excuse me, this presentation I just got back from. But yeah, no, and it was funny as you were speaking. I just had a thought, and this is kind of jumping topics here. The conversation you had with I believe her name was Ruth.
Yes, Ruth, 102-year-old.
By the way, she's still alive, or do you know? Have you stayed in contact?
She was alive. I checked. I had spoken with her last year. She was 104, and she's still alive and still had her wits pretty much. But she's fully jabbed multiple times and declining.
I don't mean to laugh. Man, that's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
God bless Ruth. And no, honestly, I think the first time I saw that clip, I actually think I shed a tear or something. I mean, I was really like emotional seeing that video. But for anybody that hasn't seen it, I mean, I could provide a link. But basically, you're speaking with this older woman that's over 100 years old. And she lived during the time that when she was a child, they taught flat Earth in schools, right, Dave?
In public school here in Connecticut, yeah. And that was in the 1920s. But since then, we found other people that said they were teaching flat Earth and globe Earth all the way up through the 1950s, right? But the average uninformed, ignorant, and ignorant is not an insult. I am ignorant to everything that I don't know about. There are things that exist that I don't know exist. That makes me ignorant of them. So there are people that think that the Earth is a globe and that it was discovered they've known it for 2,000 years since Eratosthenes, and that's not true. It's a new thing in the mid 1900s.
So crazy, huh? Like it's funny. It's funny how our perception of time and what we think about information and I guess it goes back to just programming and brainwashing. But yeah, like we definitely were taught things that weren't true at all, and it just shows the the tracks are right underneath our noses as far as people like Ruth, or you go into things like Tartaria. I mean, there's like, hidden mystery. I
Right.
just got back from a trip for San Francisco, and you look at some of these buildings and you're just like, man,
They were here. They were here before
right,
Columbus got here.
right.
I have a whole Tataria section here. And if you looked into the giant trees,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
have you looked into it? What do
Yeah,
you
I
mean?
mean,
Like the sequoias? The like go ahead.
no, I mean the giant trees. So listen, this goes into some of the religious faith and based stuff here, but back in the day, Noah and all of our great forefathers, they all lived to like 900 years old, 800,
Yeah,
and there's a reason why. My hypothesis is that there was a lot more oxygen back in the
sure.
day because of all these huge trees. So,
And when people say giant trees, they think of like the sequoias and the giant redwoods and stuff. Those are blades of grass next to
right,
these trees, right? There's a guy, Hangman. It's in the giant trees section. It's Hangman 1128 or something like that is his channel, and he's goes through the hills where he lives and shows you that these rock formations are literally the branches of trees. And he estimated that this one tree was 80 miles in circumference.
wow, wow.
80 miles in circumference. That doesn't work on a ball if it's true, but the evidence is overwhelming that it's true. And people are like, what do you mean? How can the wood turn to stone? It does. It can happen instantaneously. Just like recently in Maui, they let people back in. They found a frog in mid jump that turned into a stone, petrified.
Really?
How does that happen?
You talk about
Yeah,
the
there's some crazy
DEWs
stuff
or
going on in
whatever.
this world. Yeah, so there's plasma events that happen on this world, and um, when I was a kid, there was all these cartoons about giants and being turned into stone by gods, and and everything. That was like the main theme. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then the other thing, since we're all over the place, you've looked into the orphan trains and the foundlings.
Listen,
Have you
have I looked into it? I believe that that's my lineage. I believe that my family is from there.
I think we're
Yeah,
all from there.
yeah, I
It's
definitely looked
incredible.
into it. Yeah. That's pretty
Wait,
crazy.
so and the biggest show when I was a little kid was the Little Rascals, and the Little Rascals was about orphans, and they treated babies like they were products. He's like, oh, I don't like my sister, I'm going to trade her in for a new one, and it's crazy the stuff that they're doing, and then it gets into the Cabbage Patch Kids. Have you looked
Right,
into that?
right.
Mind blowing.
Yes.
This is mind blowing. I actually was gonna add that to stoplookthink.com, the whole Cabbage Patch thing. It's messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I know about it. I mean, I know, like, for example, like, yeah, I mean, these cities were seemingly empty, and I guess they wanted to populate them with young children. And what's crazy is all the different orphanages that were across the U.S. at that
Everywhere.
time.
And
Yeah,
all these kids showed up with no recollection of parents.
right.
And I heard, I had no proof of this, but one of the things was they said many of the kids didn't have belly buttons. That could just be folklore. I don't
Right.
know. But can't rule it out. There's so much craziness going on. And the fact that there was a movie about that where someone didn't have a belly button, I think it was Wick, what's his name, or
John
whatever.
Wick?
John Wick. Did he not have a belly button, or was that a different show? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But there was one thing where this kid that showed up that was like just weird, didn't have a belly button. So they're constantly putting truth in our face. So we're like all over the place, but this world is everywhere you go. One thing that truthers like us have in common: we're never bored.
No,
Never
no.
bored. Never
That's
bored.
why.
Boredom is gone. It's non-existent.
Well,
Can't
that's
happen.
why it's almost too many. I have too many options and too many things to be looking into, right? Oh, do I need to dig a well? Do I'm doing this? Do I'm doing that? Okay, I gotta watch this now. I gotta. It's just like constantly, just like Okay, now I need to tilt my bed, right?
That's an easy one. That's an easy one. know the guy basically they say, tilt it 1 inch for a week and then add another for 2 weeks and make it 3 inches a third week. And,
You'd be a vampire
and I was like,
upside down by the end of it.
I was like, screw that. Bam, 6 inches first night. And that's what I recommend. Just, it's like I don't want to say getting an injection where they stick it in slowly. Just friggin' jam it in there.
Right.
But that's a horrible analogy because never
a Band-Aid. I get you though. Peeling a Band-Aid.
Yeah, like a Band-Aid. There you go. It's like just put it on and get in there and deal with it. But life-changing, all life-changing stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. So here, let me see what I could jump into here. So I mean, I don't know if this is like super basic by going back into your past, but like what was it that provoked you to be like, this is like my aha moment, or can you pinpoint it now because you've been on this like truth like journey for so long now?
What do you mean? Like what made me drop everything?
Well, because you're basically Flat Earth Dave, right? But at the same time, you're also this like truther,
So I'll give you the story. So I worked in a solar company, a corporate solar company, and every day in the lunchroom, my buddy Tim and I, we'd be talking about the Federal Reserve and what is money and these little conspiracies, big conspiracies, little conspiracies, and people started gathering around each time. Oh, here's Tim and Dave, and we started going. And then one day Tim called me and said, "Hey, Dave, my friend Mike, who's a comedian, Stand Up New York Labs Comedy Club is opening up a podcast studio, and we have a good idea for a podcast." And I said, "What's a podcast?" And he's like, "It's a recorded radio show." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I've heard of it. I didn't even know what it was." So we made this podcast, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and episode 1, we named it 9/11 is Dave's Baby, because I went through 9/11, tore it apart, tore it down. We're in New York, in the heart of New York City, and all the producers in the building, everyone's got their head stuck in the studio. Their eyes are wide. They're like, what the hell just happened? They had no idea that 9/11 wasn't what we were told. And so the podcast went on, and over the time, we had the Boston bombing, we had Sandy School in Connecticut,
right.
And we took those things apart, and I said, you know what, those 3 events alone are undeniably not what we're told. And if I wake people up to those, they're going to wake up to everything. But I was wrong. I called it exposing the big 3. I'd wake people up to them, get them through their emotional triggers. And then even though they were like, oh, yeah, you're probably right, but, the administration's going to change and this is that. And everyone just goes right back to sleep. But then when I was forced into Flat Earth and I went in to debunk it and I couldn't, and I realized, wow, Flat Earth is real. I said, I'm not going to tell anyone about Flat Earth because it's going to too many people are going to discredit all of the hard work I've done on all these other false flags and hoaxes. And then after, I think it was a really short period of time, maybe it was a couple of months, maybe it was a couple of weeks, I don't know, I forget. I was like, screw it. Truth is truth. I got to say it. And I stood in my truth. This is what, the Bible says, stand in your truth. I don't care if you're a million people say the opposite, stand in your truth. Don't be a fish. Or a sheep. And I brought it up, and it kind of actually blew up the podcast after about another year. Nobody could take it anymore. And the co-host, he just couldn't buy into it. And then I started the Flat Earth podcast, and that was kind of really doing well. And then at that same time, I had left corporate America. I started my own company. I'm the CEO of my own company, and we're doing very well. And it's like, all right, I've done everything. I went to college. I went in corporate America. I left. I started my own company. I'm my own boss. I think I have what's called the American dream, making tons of money. And then something said, leave, walk away from it all. Well, one of the things is my partners are like, Dave, you're going after these people. Like I was going after these lawyers in Connecticut, and these lawyers represent some of our clients. And I'm like, it's like I was like hanging these frauds out to dry. And I was like, okay, it's probably best if I left. And I left. I walked away from everything to talk to people like you and everybody else about what I consider the most important topic of our time. What do you mean Flat Earth is the most important topic? What about the child trafficking and all the other atrocities? And yeah, all of that happens on Flat Earth. And if you're spinning out of control, lost in space in a distant God, or no existing God universe, these things are going to keep happening. If you can convince somebody they're on a spinning ball and they're they evolved from pond scum. You can convince them that, guys in hang gliders and flip flops got through the most secure wall ever and started a war.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. No, it's you actually answered like 3 or 4 of my questions, but thank you for that. No, I think
I want to go ahead. Go ahead. You finish, and I just want to bring up one thing about the war. Go ahead.
No, I think it's important because like sometimes I ask myself, right? Like I'm on this truth journey and I have, this podcast, right? So we're definitely on the same lines, right? For me, it's like I've also burned bridges and done things the wrong way, communication wise.
Sure.
It's not even messaging.
Yeah.
It's how I give my messaging. And I'm sure you've learned that along the way too. So how do you rectify, or how do you change that? Or do you just say, hey, you know what? I'm standing in my truth. Have you been able to repair any maybe relationships that maybe you didn't communicate well? Or do you just say, hey, you know what? This is my worldview now. Sorry, guys. This is who I am. And then, I don't want to say F off, but.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's easier to teach somebody about something they know nothing about than unteach them what they think they know everything about. And, some people live in what I call normie world and will never come out. And yeah, I've lost a bunch of relationships and some have come back. Like I rated on my neighborhood. I've grown up, in an area my whole life. And so I have, friends where we had kids together and just neighborhood stuff. And only 3 or 4 or 5 of them have woken up, and the rest are fast asleep still. And so I don't push it, but it's there's friends that we're super close with, and we don't talk anymore. And my brother and sister, we don't talk anymore because they're living in normie world. And I'm like, what am I going to discuss with them? You want to talk about the weather? I can't even talk about the weather because that's fake also. Yeah. So, and what's going on right now with the war? You have to remember, they lied about the USS Maine to get us into the war with Spain. All right. That was a conspiracy theory until they found out it was actually true. They lied about the Lusitania sinking to get us into World War I. That was a conspiracy theory until it was revealed that it was actually true. Right. They lied about Pearl Harbor to get us into World War II. They lied about the Gulf of Tonkin to get us into Vietnam. They lied about killing babies, out of incubators to start the Gulf War. And all of that was revealed as completely 100% totally fake, right? They lied about weapons of mass destruction when Colin Powell had his little vial. This is, they're going to get us with biological weapons to start the war in Iraq. That was fake. They lied about the greatest leader of all time, Muammar Gaddafi, to start the war in Libya. And the greatest atrocity to mankind by blowing up the great man-made river that he built it took him 40 years, and you didn't even hear about it. That was a lie. And then they lied to us about attacks in Syria so we can stay in Syria. Those are fake attacks. They admit it. All of that's admitted. But with that said, I'm sure what happened in Israel is real, right? This time it's got to be real. Forget everything else. Forget history. This time it has to be real. Sarcasm.
It was funny. I saw some sort of, I think it was like an ad or some sort of thing in Times Square. And it showed like, stand with Ukraine and the Ukrainian flag. And then it transformed into stand with Israel and then the Israeli flag. It was like, the change of the guard, and I'm like, wow, like this is an actual ad. And it almost comes across like mockery, like as a truth.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's just normal. It's just like, they present it right under your nose, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's true. Yeah, okay. Ukraine and now Israel. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's COVID, then it's Ukraine, then it's Israel, and they just keep changing the boogeyman. And it's to keep everyone distracted. It's to keep us under control. It's to lower the population. It's to keep people in fear. And right now, they're threatening that the cyber attack, Klaus Schwab's says that the worldwide cyber attack is going to make COVID look like nothing. He said it's going to stop all transportation, food, banking, everything. He said, but when that happens, it's going to be the worst thing ever. Now, today, I believe it's happening right now in San Francisco, that was founded. They're having the World Economic Forum about cyber terrorism. And guess what? The day before it started, there was the biggest cyber attack in Australia and the United States on the banking system. And the banks weren't able to talk to each other. And they're still having some difficulties. Isn't that weird? It's happening while it's happening. That's never happened before. Like when 9/11 happened, we weren't doing 16 drills about planes crashing into buildings. When Sandy happened, we weren't doing in the same town a drill of a shooter going into a school. The 7/7 bombings, we weren't actually doing a drill of all 3 substations having a bomb go off. And during the Boston bombing, they weren't doing a drill about a bomb going off at the finish line during the race, because all of those things did happen, but that's just a coincidence, right? They're always doing drills. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah. And people look at me like I'm insane. Okay. The ignorance and self-belief that you're right when you know nothing is what makes truthers crazy. So we are crazy because we live with fucking crazy people, and maybe we get a little pent up. I don't know.
No, yeah. I mean, I think what you're saying is, I mean, you're going into so much. I mean, like for me, you covered 9/11. To me, like Loose Change, like the beginning of YouTube.
That was a great one. That was a great one.
That was the beginning of me waking up, right? And somewhere along the line, you get lulled back to sleep, and I feel like that's kind of what happened with me, right? And 2020,
then Flat Earth kicks you in the ass, and then you can never walk away.
Flat Earth, and listen, 2020, like I was actually living in LA at the time, and I kind of I feel like I had my head up my ass a little bit at that time too, and then I was finally like, man, lockdowns, all this stuff. Let me actually just like look into like conspiracies and just like go in. Man, I mean, I never got my way out.
We're conspiracy analysts.
Right.
Everyone else that thinks that we're crazy, they're conspiracy theorists because they listen to the news, and the news is just a theory. It's just a conspiracy. 2 planes knocked down 7 buildings in New York. That's what the news is telling you. That's what you need to believe. 2 planes knocked down 7 buildings, not building 7, which is the 3rd building, 7 buildings. Don't even hear about that. Look into building 6. Go to my channel, DITRH, and search my channel for forget building 7, building 6, the smoking gun.
Okay, I don't think I've seen that one. I'll have to check that one out.
3-minute video, and you'll be like, what the F? That's my channel, DITRH. Stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. Most of my videos are under 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. Right? It's bite size. I was there before TikTok, all right? With the short videos.
Yeah, now they have it, because they have all these psychologists working at social media companies, and they figured that snackable content is where it's at. So, they're right. Everyone's brains are like, chicken nuggets. So, yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, it's flat Earth is an important truth. But the thing is that for me, it's like, I'm so mindful of that word, because that's what the elite or the controllers do, right? They use words against you, like spells, right? So 100%. It's like, so then I like taking it back. Like I feel like that's what Sam Tripoli and like what you do, like tinfoil hat, you're flat Earth, so you're taking the power back. For me, it's like I see the game they play and I just switch it. So like I like to call it biblical cosmology or geocentrism, or I'll say it in a different way where it's not so like slap you over the face flat Earth, because right away you're going to get with ridicule when you say flat Earth. You know what I mean? Right.
I really like the term level Earth, but I also I at this point I just really like smacking people. So flat Earth is a smack.
Yeah.
And because the trolls that come after level Earth, they're going to use the term flat Earth, and they're going to own flat Earth on YouTube. You search flat Earth on YouTube, and they basically they own it. They own it because The algorithm is hiding it, but I'm breaking the algorithm because I'm not just on my channel, I'm on everyone else's channel. And a lot of channels that aren't flat earth channels. And so when you search, you might find me. I'm kind of getting all over the place. And the thing is, people are waking up. I went on a flight the other day, and the person that sat down next to us knew us from TikTok and YouTube, and was a flat earther. Had a great conversation. Flight before that, the stewardess recognized me, and two other people walking in the plane gave me the flat signal. So it's like it's getting out there. It's everywhere. And the stewardess showed me she has a private Facebook group, Facebook or Telegram, maybe it's Telegram, with a whole bunch of other stewardesses, and they're all flat earthers.
Wow.
And they're all sharing information. And I made a prediction. Just I made another show. I'll tell you here. I think within a year, the vast majority of airline pilots will all be flat earthers, because when you're a flat earther, you're always looking to wake somebody up to flat earth. So if you're with somebody alone for a while, you're going to tell them about flat earth, right? Think about this. You're a pilot on a Boeing 747, whatever. You're locked in a little room for 15 hours with nothing to do.
Right.
Except talk to your co-pilot, read a book. You're going to flat smack them. And that's what these guys are doing. I've got about 30 major airline pilots in my phone book and my phone. And they are all saying that's what they do. They just like, ooh, who do I got with me today? Oh, okay, this guy. And they bring up flat earth. And before they land, they turn that person into a flat earther. So pilots are waking up faster than anybody else. And that's an amazing thing. And then they all know that they can't talk about it because they get grounded. Like the Qantas pilots, they all know. They say they talk about it in their lounge, but if they bring it out publicly, they get grounded. And that's their job. And they control us with the fake money in their fake world. So it's going to be a point where all the pilots are like, maybe they start a flat earth union and they just come out. Know what they can do? Fire all the pilots? They can't. It's over. The cat is out of the bag. The ball is finished. We're one tweet away and one day away from this thing going global. I said it.
Yeah, no, I think the funny thing is that but with the earth being like this, like being flat, right? I mean, obviously there's hills, valleys, whatever, but it's more or less flat. You have the firmament above, and then maybe something underneath, a container like that. So maybe the whole system could be spherical, but the way that the way that NASA describes it, I think that's like one of the things that the elite love to do, is that they're like twisting truth, is that they're lying to you and they're telling you the truth. However, they're telling you in this like weird inverted way, and it's like not exactly the way that they're telling you. You know what I mean?
Maybe Mars is a land beyond Antarctica, the lands of Mars. And so then when they want to go out past Antarctica into the outer space, that's where Mars is. So they want to go to outer space and visit Mars. They're not lying.
Yeah. Those images of whatever, it's like Mars, but it's really like Nevada or something. That's pretty. That one's pretty apparent. That one's pretty bogus. But there's just so many examples. I mean, you have a ton of them. I've seen a bunch of your interviews, like when I was waking up. What is Psalms 19:1? What does that mean to you? Psalms 19:1.
God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. That is that Psalm 19:1, right?
No, I think it's the firmament showeth the heavens declare the glory of God, the firmament
showeth his handiwork. And the firmament showeth his handiwork. Right. So that was on Werner von Braun's gravestone. And Werner von Braun is a psyop inside a psyop. He's allegedly the Russian rocket scientist that started NASA. Why would he put that on his gravestone? Is that revelation of the method? Is that a deathbed confession, or is it just poking us in the eye?
Yeah, there you go. No, I love you said that. It's so aware of like where we are as truthers, where it's like, hey, listen, this is the information, the truth I have for now. Is this whole thing a big punk in itself? could be,
Think about
but this is
this.
the information that I have in front of you. Go for it.
Project Paperclip is when they brought the Russian rocket scientists over, right?
Right.
So there was no Russia and America are not enemies. The whole Cold War was nonsense. And there was no space race. So there was no rocket scientists. There's rocket actors.
Right.
And so they fake brought them over in this, they brought them over, whatever, in this fake Project Paperclip and put them in charge of Lockheed Grumman and NASA and all of this stuff. And it's insanity to think that any of this is real. It's all just a stage. It's just a stage. I mean, these are the founders of NASA. You got a Scientologist, a cartoon, animator, an ex-Nazi, an occultist, and and an Aleister Crowley, one of the wickedest men in the world. These are all the people that are involved with the founding of NASA.
Yeah, just cultists at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. So again, the NASA was put here when Admiral Byrd did Project High Jump and said he found land bigger than the United States beyond the South Pole. How do you have land bigger than the United States beyond the South Pole? It doesn't make any sense. I think Australia and Africa would see it. And then 6 months later, he died in his bed suddenly. That's weird, young guy. And then all of a sudden NASA starts. Hey, don't look over there. We're not going to go over there. We're going to go up there where you can't go. And then we just have a bunch of Freemasons pretending to go to space. Exactly. When I say pretending to go to space, nobody's going on those rockets ever. The only one that ever went on a rocket was Mad Mike Hughes, who was on a steam-powered rocket to see if he can break the world's record for how high he could go. He went 1,800 feet, and then he killed him, and he died because its parachute didn't deploy. But the mainstream media ran with that. Crazy flat earther kills himself trying to prove flat earth. The reason they said that is because he needed money for his from parts, and some flat earthers funded him $7,000 if they can put a poster, a billboard on his rocket that said flat earth, research flat earth. So the media ran with that crazy flat earther. Why would a guy try to jump 1,800 feet to see the curve of the earth when he can go in a building 10 times that height? Right?
Yeah.
Or in an airplane, whatever the height, how big a building goes. So again, and these are, if you're going to fight flat earth, why do you have to straw man us? Why do you always have to make up stuff? Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't have time to talk to us. I don't have time to talk to flat earthers, but he has time to make video after video after video after video straw manning us, which means fake arguments of things that we don't say, saying that we say them.
No, I think I catch a few of your things, right? Or your appearances, and one of them, semi-recent, I believe, you were on a debate, and I believe it's with one of these guys that's very vocal. Was it Dave, Professor Dave, one of these goofballs?
So fake phony Professor Dave, failed comedian, failed musician, who dropped out of school twice. It was supposed to be a structured debate, and the whole thing just went into complete absurdism. But and that's the one Google's going to serve to you. Exactly. But however, on the more resources page, which is the spider web button, I hit the wrong button. You scroll down to debunking the debunkers, and when you click that, you scroll down just a couple, and right here it says, where is it? Flat Earth Dave humiliates Professor Dave. And what that is a breakdown by a guy, logic and reasoning, that he doesn't take sides. He just breaks down the debate. Well, was that a world point? Was that a fallacy? Was that an ad hom? And he has a little score counter. It's the funniest video you've ever seen. He breaks it down. The problem is weak minds will watch this and go, well, the guy's got a professor's name and he mocked Dave and he talks in a sarcastic voice. Therefore, he must be smart. That's the sign of a weak mind. He breaks it down, showing you how pathetic, how sad this little excuse for a man is. There you go.
I remember watching that and feeling like it was super cringe, and the way that he was very just kind of like rude and like just very
Kinda.
dismissive and exactly very dismissive and not letting you finish a point, or he say, "Oh yeah, I know you're gonna say this and that's dumb, but here that," and it was just like, man, like he's using so many tactics and being very disingenuous that
Yeah,
you
and
could just
making
see right through
faces,
it.
and you can't even talk, and and I was talking about how you need a container to have air pressure, and he was talking about spectroscopy, and I said spectroscopy you needs to have a container, and he goes, oh, spectros, I can't say the word now. Spectroscopy needs to be in a container. That's not what I said. To have air, to have gas, you need a container. And so they took that and that's what they ran with, and they twist things out of, it's like, why do you need to straw man and make up stuff if your argument is real? It's not real. The globe is the dumbest thing ever. I can't believe I ever believed in it once you see the deception. Nobody becomes a flat earther on Tuesday and goes back to being a glober on Wednesday or Thursday. It never happens. It doesn't happen. One guy supposedly switched because it was all about money and it was like a guy was a mental case, right? That's it. Nobody switches back. You saw all those blue dots. They're growing every day. Every time you see the little thing here, that's another person joining the app.
Yeah, like for me, I mean, I guess once you go this way, it's either like, because I know Santos Bonacci talks about like a tourist, and like,
Yep.
there's all these different like forms and possibilities and perspectives, but you just know for a fact is that it's not the way that they're telling us, right? Like that's just the bottom line, So but yeah, I love looking at, I think, you show this plenty of times, but like showing like the ancient cosmology of all these different, civilizations, and how they all had similar, cosmological worldviews, right? And I think that that's a pretty strong one in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, I know that our Zoom only has an hour. Do you only have an hour? I want to be respectful of your time, or do you
We
got
can go
more time?
another 10 or 15 minutes if you need.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, to me, this was like when I first started waking up, to me, this is like one of the ones that actually really got me, because you always look at the past, right? And like the ancients, and like for some reason we always think, listen, we're so smart now, but it's like, no, really, actually the ancients like had like the stars, the cosmos, and like they knew a lot more than like history tells us. So when you see
Right.
all these, I think that's like a big red pill in my opinion.
It's every religion, every culture before us was flat, except this religion right here, NASA.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's all made up. Here, this is Ruth, 102 years old. And when that was just an organic conversation I had with her, and she's like, "Yeah, they taught me the Earth was flat," and I'm like, "Can I record this?" And it was incredible, and she started crying because she says, "I always known it my whole life, but they told me it wasn't." And she's a Bible reader, and I was explaining how it's in the Bible, and she's like, "Yes, yes," and she gets it, and it was amazing. So
Yeah,
it's funny.
Go ahead.
No, real quick. No, what's funny is after I did this, I said, everybody, we don't have a lot of time left. We need people that are over 100. Back in 2020, I said, go into nursing homes, find, if you know anybody or if you have access to a nursing home, and everybody's getting ready to do this. And then bam, COVID hit and nobody could go into nursing homes.
Unbelievable.
Could be my fault. Could be my fault.
No, yeah, no. But it's funny is that I feel like that's such a powerful video, because in a lot of ways, like we're all Ruth, like we're Ruth, right? Like we're the ones that like, man, like our history and our knowledge was taken from us, and it's like when you see her being sad, it's like, man, like we're sad for humanity, you know what I mean? It's like it's just
Right.
like really, really sad and sick. And I mean, I don't know like your personal life. For me, I have a daughter, and I have another one on the way, and it's like what do you do, right? Like, do you teach them this like broken system, or do you say, hey, no, actually it's like this, and this is what normal people believe? Like,
You
you know what
teach
I'm
them both.
saying? Yeah, exactly.
You show them both and say, what do you think? And teach them to use their God-given common senses. You teach them to use their logic and reasoning and say, it doesn't matter what other people think. You need to think. And that's what you got to do. And whatever you do, don't send your kids to school if it's a possibility. But, that's part of the system. They have us where both parents need to work. So, you put your kid in the indoctrination system and they literally get brainwashed with just propaganda. Next time you go into Costco, for example, we have Costco's here, any big box store, go to the book section and you're going to see that they have a book on dinosaurs and space, on rockets. And it's like the most high quality hardcover, glossy, embossed, nicest paper, stitched. I mean, it couldn't be any better, weighs a ton. Amazing book, probably cost $100 to make. They're selling it for $19 because they want you to have it and treasure it and keep it and pass it down from generation to generation. And that's all by design.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think on that thought, like, a lot of cities have this, Miami's no different, those museum of science and whatever, right? And so, my wife took my daughter and, they sent me the photos back, right? And it's dinosaurs, it's space, the moon landing, all this stuff. And like, and my wife's sending me photos and I'm just like writing back to her like, okay, fake, goofy, like why you indoctrinated her, all this kind of stuff. And then at the end, it just shows it's like a little like supermarket for kids. It's kind of like this like toy kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, like that's like the only thing she's learning there. And it just like it really makes you think about what our society is about. Like what is she actually learning and what are they actually teaching our children? It's just
this is the moon lander built in 1972. Look at this thing. What it looks like it's made from paper bags, right? That's the moon lander in 1972. And then so that's $50 million. And then they built this in 1964 for $34 million. Well, what's going on here? What is going on here, people? I mean, and this is another shot of the moon lander. Look at this thing. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how people believe this.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody sheetrocked your basement like that, would you pay them?
No, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed.
Right. It's so stupid. And then, of course, India shows us this as a moon landing recently.
Right.
That's what India showed us. So stupid.
Yeah, it's weird how like the division between these countries is apparently, the more you look into it, maybe just a facade. But then it's like, how come, when China or India or one of these different countries besides NASA releases their stuff, it's just always so bad. I mean, not to say NASA's any good, but man, some of these are just so bad from like India or China.
Right. It's just bad.
No, I mean, and the thing is that for me, I have like, I'm into video, I'm into graphic design and all this stuff. So as a guy that like works with photography and design, like it's so easy for my eye to spot, but like, it's so hard for me to put my brain in a normie person's body because it's like it's so easy for me to see, but some people they just don't catch it. I don't know,
Yeah. In 1970, $38 million for 2 beach chairs and an umbrella and a Jeep chassis, right? This is the Moonlander. $38 million in 1970. But with today's deflated dollars, $37 million can buy you this bad boy. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all just money laundering at the end of the day.
I guess.
Like it, right? I don't know. Who knows, right?
Mockery.
So here, do you would you say that flat Earth has like changed your like your faith or spiritual worldview or anything like that at all? I mean, I know you mostly focus on the proofs and not necessarily like I mean, you talked about your co-host Matt, and he kind of focuses more on the biblical aspects.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The Bible has lots of stuff that you're like, what does that mean? This? What does it mean that? Right? The Bible has a lot of that. So if your worldview is a globe based on zero evidence, you're going to look at the Bible and try to relate everything to the globe. But if your worldview is based on flat, which there's tons of evidence, a preponderance of evidence, then you can look at the Bible and go, Well, that's definitely flat. That's flat. That's flat. And this one, oh, I guess it's flat. And you take it to the flat side. Okay. There's so many that in the Bible that, can't be a globe and can only be flat. But the ones that are kind of both, you can say, well, the earth is flat because we tested it. We proved that it's not a globe. So therefore, you can actually decipher the Bible better when you know the truth. So as far as my faith, before I learned about flat earth, I was an atheist, which is crazy. I didn't know, I didn't believe anything. And I keep telling the story, but it's good. It's true. I went to a Young Life Bible retreat. And so they're doing the first Bible reading. I'm like, oh, here we go. And the first story they told was the stars falling to earth. And I'm like, wait a minute. My house, like a big giant house, is a star. The earth is a pebble. How could that fall to earth? It would eat the earth. And I discarded the Bible until 2014 because of that. I literally threw out the Bible 100% for my entire life until I understood that this place is intelligently designed. Now, here's the other thing. I'm not saying everything in the Bible I agree with. Maybe I don't understand it. Maybe it's corrupted. I don't know. But there's a lot of truth in the Bible. There's a ton of truth in the Bible. And the fact that one verse was able to scare me away because of heliocentrism proves that the heliocentric soul lure system is literally trying to steal your soul away from God.
Yeah, no, I think that your personal antidote really makes sense, and it allowed you to know why they do it, right? It's because they're trying to take away God. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't necessarily see that correlation, but I guess since that was like your experience, like it was a lot easier for you to see that tangentially, you know?
If you're living in God's world and paying attention to God's creation, they have no control over you. They need you to live on their fake globe and play in their system.
Yeah.
Right. We need our own money. And I think privacy crypto is the way to do it. Gold and silver, absolutely, but it's harder to trade that and move it and stuff. And all of that can be done, and we don't need governments for that. So again, play in their system. You got to play by their rules. You got to pay them. You got to do the whole thing. But stay in nature and God's world. Everything opens up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that it's important for people like you to continue sharing their truth. And I think that at the end of the day, we all have a mission in life, and God assigns for us. And this is my own personal belief. And it's like, do you live up to what gifts God gave you? And are you able to live up to it? And at the end of at the end of your life, you're gonna have to front God, and that's going to be either a beautiful meeting or a tough meeting, depending on who you are. And I think that what you're doing is great, because you're really using your voice. You're obviously a mouthpiece for flat Earth, and I mean, hell, you helped awaken me, and I'm sure a lot of other individuals. So yeah, for sure, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, for me, like I definitely learned a lot of from listening to your content. And I would say that don't feel bad when you have people like Professor Dave and whatnot, and even though they get tons of views and it's all fake stuff online, as far as view counts or whatever, anyways, people like me that actually are watching are really able to decipher what's real and what's fake, even though at times it feels like the system's going up against you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that at all. There's a whole bunch of trolls out there. I constantly keep forgetting their names. They're obsessed with me, but I don't care. They can do whatever they want because they have the right to do whatever they want. Just don't don't interfere with my life or anyone else's life. You do whatever you want, and then at the end, when their day comes, it ain't going to be pretty. I have no fear of that day, other than fear of missing out.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. Well, listen,
Exciting time to be alive.
I mean, listen, like every day is a blessing, right? So I mean, as long as we keep that in mind, and I think that that's kind of almost, going back into another rabbit hole. That's kind of how they keep us down, is that they want us keep us down in a low frequency. They don't want us to know how powerful and blessed we are. And if we all knew how powerful we are, then they wouldn't be able to do all the things that they're doing against us, right? So I think that
100%. One of us awake is way more powerful than thousands of sleeping, or people that are not awake. But then when you have two that are together, working together, it's not two times, it's like 20 times. And so then when you get everyone together, that's why they want to keep the population down. Because if there was, I actually believe that, in the 1700s, there was 100 billion people here. And after the reset, they repopulated the earth. But I don't believe there's the number that they tell us now. I think it's closer to 3 or 4 billion, maybe less, because they don't want us reaching that state where our minds, we're all part of this system. I look at it as we're all like a node in a giant brain across the plane. And if there's too many of us, we get too connected. That's why they want us apart. They want us thinned out. They want us sick and weak and scared and not living long enough to really put it together. So it's all about population control right now.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's kind of sad, really. I mean, you really have to, yeah, you need to watch your back in all sorts of ways to survive. And at the same time, I mean, listen, I think we're doing what we're doing, and I think that there's a lot of power in, having faith in God. I mean, not to go too far into like more of like the religious side, but I think that if you're like centered in the godly way, I think you get miracles and manifestations that kind of surround you and help you in circumstances that unbeknownst to you, you might actually have had something negative happen to you, but because you're walking with the Lord, you're actually like protected, So,
I,
um,
I agree.
yeah, what I like to say for even along the lines is like the Dr. Emoto like water experiments, right? If you're praying over your water and saying blessed things, your waters are to come out better, and then you're going to be more nourished. Versus if the water is all poisoned with the vibration and the energy that you're putting at it, then you're going to be drinking that poison. So it's no different with the words you're speaking or
And they've trained us to believe that all of that is mumbo jumbo nonsense. And and as long as we believe that, then and they know the truth, they have the upper hand. So we're in this spiritual war, and most people don't believe in a spiritual war. That's how they've been getting away with it for so long. But I think the unveiling of the truth is here, and people are waking up faster and faster. So thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you so much, Dave Weiss. You're a legend in my eyes and a lot of other people's eyes. So listen, we got the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app.
Everything is at flatearthdave.com. You can book me there. You can find the crash course there. You can get the app there. You can find out that Elon Musk is a fraud with one click. There's a ton of stuff there. There's artwork you can download if you want to print out flyers and cards and all sorts of stuff to help wake up other people. But the best way to do it is the app. It's $3 and the subscription is $11 a year. You don't need the subscription, but you might want it because you're going to be wanting to find other people around you and network with them.
Yeah, no, 100%. I recommend it. I actually am a subscriber to the app myself, so I definitely it's also another way of just supporting Dave and supporting Flat Earth. So I definitely recommend everyone doing that.
And I made it $11 a year. It should be a no-brainer. You bought somebody a subpar margarita and you didn't tip the bartender.
Well, don't do that. Make sure to tip your bartender. But
well, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. People are like, I'm not going to buy a $3 app and an $11 subscription. Who wants a round of shots? Okay, that'll be $85.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no. So Dave, if you want, after this, do you mind if you send me your recording so I could like chop it up and and so I could just have two files. Was that
Sure,
possible?
sure. Yeah, no problem. I'm going to upload it to YouTube unlisted, and I'll send you the link.
Okay, beautiful. All right, yeah.
You
And
can
then
you can download it from there, right?
I can download it from there. Okay, yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
HD in full quality or whatever.
Yeah. It'll be HD by tomorrow. So I'll get it to you as soon as it's up, and then by tomorrow it'll be HD.
All right, beautiful. All right, well, listen, thanks a lot for everybody listening. Dave Weiss is a true legend. Feel free to go to his website, flatearthdave.com, and yes, watch a bunch of his vids and stay connected with the community. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks a lot, Dave. Take care.